This evening, rather than a traditional sermon, I'd like to look more based off of my personal story that I have to hopefully give something of value to all of you or to other people that you hope to spread the word to. So first I want to start off with James. I'm going to look at verse number 4:14. Reads, "Yet you do not know what tomorrow will bring, what your life will be. For you are like vapor that appears for a little while, then vanishes." So with this verse in mind, I hope that you will listen to part of my testimony and life story. So I moved to America just 2.5 years ago, and it was only roughly 1 year ago that I found Christ and that I was saved by Him. And so for 18 years I was an atheist. I didn't know Him. I was going about all the things that all my morals, ethics, the rules that I followed, everything was from the atheist viewpoint. And after being saved, I got the opportunity roughly 4 months later to preach a sermon at Cumberland Presbyterian. I will say it's not often that an 18-year-old gets the opportunity, 18/19, to get the opportunity not once but twice to preach in front of an audience. But it wasn't always like that. Before I was a Christian in Sweden, I was spending most of my time in front of a computer screen, wasting my time playing video games, watching series, whatever else I might have been doing. And by doing all these things, now in hindsight, I want to look at these things as sort of as wasted years of my life. I want to take a look at Psalms 90:12. "Teach us to number our days carefully, so that we may develop wisdom in our hearts." So in this verse, it says number our days. This is not some type of gruesome warning of how long we have left to live, but to be aware of life's fleeting nature. Being only 19 years of age and have 18 of those spent in atheism, not knowing Christ, I don't want to say mournsome or sad, but I feel less accomplished with the time that I have spent because I haven't spent it glorifying God, praising God, working for Him, or any of those means. And then by finding Christ, we got the opportunity, again, through the two major ones being to preach 2 sermons, to be able to spread the word as best as I can. And then for the terms of wisdom, we have a good example of what Jesus defined as wisdom in the book of Matthew, chapter 7, verse 24 and 25. Here he says, "Therefore, everyone who hears these words of mine and acts on them will be like a wise man who built his house on the rock. The rain fell, the rivers rose, and the winds blew and pounded that house, yet it didn't collapse, because its foundation was on the rock." Again, Christ saying the wise man. So the wisdom that we attain, that Moses' prayer talks about in Psalms 90:12, is the wisdom of following our Lord Christ. Because we need to build our foundation upon the rock being Jesus Christ. And continue on to Colossians 3:23 and 24. Reads, "Whatever you do, do it from the heart as something done for the Lord and not for people, knowing that you will receive the reward of an inheritance from the Lord. You serve the Lord Christ." Us being Christians, we need to always be doing everything for the Lord. So again, circling back to my my 18 years that I spent, not a single second of those were spent for the Lord. But being able to be here now, I don't think that I'm talented at public speaking, but being able to use the things that we know, the things that we're capable of, we can glorify Him, we can serve Him. To Matthew 10, actually. 10:28. 10:28 reads, "Don't fear those who kill the body, but are not able to kill the soul. Rather, fear Him who is able to destroy both soul and body in hell." Today, I'm not standing before you scared of your opinions, scared of what thoughts you have about my speaking. What I fear today, coming up here, is I fear if what my words are pleasing unto the Lord. If I'm speaking things that are aligned with His will, are aligned with what He wants us to do. So again, who is it that we serve? We're serving the Lord Christ. And again, me coming up here, who is it that I fear? Why would I fear man? I fear the Lord. And if we move to Proverbs 1:7, Proverbs 1:7 says, "The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. Fools despise wisdom and discipline." This fear that we get, the fear of the Lord, is the beginning of our wisdom. Again, Psalms 90:12. "Teach us to number our days carefully, so that we may develop wisdom in our hearts." We need to develop the wisdom. Where do we start with the wisdom? We start by fearing God. We step back, we know who it is we're serving, which is the Lord Christ. We fear Him and what He can do, for He's the one that can kill not our physical body, though He can't kill that, but our spiritual body. And from there, we can develop further in our wisdom, which is found through the Word. So going back a little bit further, before I was saved, when I was still in Sweden, I was of quite little hope, because again, I had nothing much to do with my days besides being in front of the computer screen. But during that time, I had a strange sensation that I couldn't really explain. I had an extremely strong urge to move to the United States. Now, as an atheist, why I listened to this and why I followed through it, I do not know. But the Lord is the one that we serve. The Lord's the one we listen to. And even though I didn't know it at the time, the Lord gets His way. And the way was for me to come here. Because again, coming here, I was able to find Christ through joining the church and by getting major opportunities through my previous congregation, Cumberland Presbyterian, and this congregation now by allowing me to speak in front of you and be invited up to lead prayers or to help out in various ways. But again, at the time, being invited to move to the United States as a 16-and-a-half-year-old atheist was my personal first step towards Christ. Now, I understand that almost everybody in here has been in the church for a long time, some of you even born into the church probably, but for spreading the word, for getting the atheist perspective, making an atheist understand that they need to fear the Lord was one of my first steps to me personally finding my salvation through it. So again, going back to Matthew 7:24-25. "Therefore, everyone who hears these words of mine and acts on them will be like a wise man who built his house on the rock." I want to say us atheists. Formerly, atheists, we have an extremely flawed, weak foundation that we build ourselves on, because we build our foundations on sin, idols, anything of that nature. When we try to spread the word to fellow brothers and sisters who are atheists, we have a strong need to make them understand that Christ is the firm foundation, that it is the Lord that needs to be feared. Because even as an atheist, we understand that there's nothing that can be done about the death except through Christ. As an atheist, we assume that after death, nothing happens. Everything's blank. To spread the word to the atheists, to the non-believers, you need to make them understand that it is through the firm foundation of Christ, through fearing God, and spending our moments wisely, that they can to reach the wisdom that they need to reach the salvation that they need. So, how do us Christians, moving forward, how do we spread the word to the atheists? How do we show them the light that we have seen that they have not yet? Again, heading back to Colossians 3:23-24. We have, whatever you do, do it from the heart as something done for the Lord and not for people. Know that you will receive the reward of an inheritance from the Lord. You serve the Lord Christ. Us spreading the word is really simple. I wasn't saved by some major miracle. I wasn't converted by any major miracle. I wasn't converted by extremely wise words. I wasn't converted by anything of that nature. Just seeing good people of good faith doing good works, being steadfast in what they believe in, is truly one of the most powerful things that we have. Simply serving Christ, walking in a manner that is, walking in a way that is good in God's eyes, is almost all that we need in order to spread the light that we have. And by spreading these, we can expand the church, expand His kingdom, expand the Lord that we believe in, and reach more people. So again, today I come before you not fearing the congregation, not fearing the individuals, but fearing the Lord that is looking upon me at this moment. And hoping that we all can understand better the fear that we need to have. Even though we find great comfort in Him, but we need to understand the fear that we need to have for Him, the fear that the Lord gets His will. The Lord wants all of us to come to Him, but that it is still on us to abide in Him, to follow Him. So I do apologize for the message being a little short today, but if there's any need for anybody today, I ask you please come forward as we stand and sing a song.